Hello, hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to another episode of Teach Gen Tech. I know I've been a bit MIA this week with Nux Nation, so welcome back. And today we have someone that is pretty well known in the tech community, streaming community, Twitter, all the things. Jason. Jason, please introduce yourself in case people don't know who you are.
Hi, I'm Jason Lengstorf. I am the host of Learn with Jason, which is a show here on Twitch, and also at learnwithjason.dev. I also teach a lot of folks how to build for the modern web over at Netlify. I've been doing developer experience for a long time, and prior to that, I worked in product engineering for a very long time. I'm just trying to find ways to goof around on the internet and have fun and see if we can all make this place a little bit less bleak every day, right?
Yay, thank you. Especially with everything going on. I feel like that's uh to everybody going on with tech layoffs right now. I adore
Mm.
you. Please stay positive. I've dealt with that too. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of fun for the day. And what up, Anthony? Thank you for joining. So Anthony, along with a few other people, were how I found out that Jason existed because it was Anthony was the third person I talked to and was like, "Hey, you should just start streaming, like Learn with Jason." And I'm like, "Who's Jason?" So this happened again and again and again. Like there were like multiple people that finally I was like, uh I should probably reach out to this Jason person because like everybody likes his style and knows who he is. So y'all, I'm pretty sure my first like message to him, which I'm still surprised you replied, was like, "Hi, I'm starting my stream like tomorrow, so you should come on the stream sometime." And yeah, that I think was my awkward way of saying it. And people don't believe me how awkward I am in the DMs. Like I honestly just say, "Hey, can we be friends?" I'm also pretty sure that is how Yere and I ended up hanging out. And oh, yeah. Okay. Y'all are hearing the echo too.
Uh-oh.
Hmm. Let me try swapping mics, see if that helps because I hear it on my end for myself.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
All right, y'all. Is this any better? I hear my echo still. Hmm. Well, that's annoying. Is this any better? No, I still hear myself. Hmm. Is it annoying so much that we got to figure it out, or do we think we can deal with it? Wait, it might have gone away. I think it went away.
Are we
Okay,
good?
I think so.
See, you
I'm not
can
hearing
probably go
it.
back to your other mic then.
Okay, yay. All right, y'all. How is this?
Check, check.
I think we're doing better. Hopefully. Yere, let us know if you still hear it. Yere's tuning in from YouTube just because I auto stream over there. So it's fixed. Okay, thanks for the great pause. Yes, so today we were going over the history of me being awkward and reaching out to people because that is how I also met everybody that said hi in the chat today. Also being awkward because y'all were there from the beginning of the journey. So thank you for
I mean, I, I
tuning.
I will say that in terms of like awkwardness in the DMs, you're maybe middle of the road. Like
Sweet.
I get some extremely strange DMs.
I keep hearing about people like getting asked for laptops, and I'm
Yes,
like,
that one's that one's a little bit.
why?
Well, it's that one's kind of sad. Like people can't afford laptops, and they think that getting a laptop will get them into tech so that they can get a better life. So they just kind of ask for a laptop. Um, yeah,
And that makes sense. I guess I just don't understand. Like, so y'all, I've been on my journey of DevRel for like almost 5 months now, but I've been unemployed since January. So if people ask me for a laptop, I'm like, mine died. I don't even have the money to afford mine. But it's like, that's why I think it's interesting, but you're so right. Like, it's like that dynamic of reading more into it and being able to help more. Um, or the hellos. The hellos are always fun. The hey.
Yeah, those ones I just have to ignore at this point. Like if somebody sends me a message with no context, like it's stressful enough when it's at work where you get the DM from somebody on your team that's just like, "Hey." It's like you got to give me the rest of the message. Like you can start with "Hey," but then say the rest of the thing, please.
Yes. Yes. And y'all, again, like this is how you like what not to do, but yes, my message was literally, I'm stoked to be on my journey of DevRel, following in your footsteps of a bit, but from being a total noob, I'm gonna start Teach Gen Tech. And then like 3 days later, Yere was the first guest. So thanks, y'all.
Nice.
And thanks,
Nice.
Jason, without even knowing it, inspiring me to do this. So,
Happy to play some small part in this journey.
yay. Now, if we're talking about Netlify and today, and I'm actually pretty excited because people have talked about Netlify from the beginning. And I'm like, so it's hosting is what I've gathered. And I'm worked at GoDaddy. So I'm like, okay, hosting. Okay. Same, I think. But yet it still has not clicked. Like I even watched like the intro video and I'm like, why is this not clicking? Why are things like Netlify not clicking? So how would you describe it?
So Netlify is a little bit tricky to describe because it is built of component parts like hosting or cloud functions or DNS management, which are all kind of commoditized things that are clear. You understand those. But what we do that's different is it's kind of like a workflow platform. And the idea is that we're not selling you infrastructure. We're selling you efficiency and productivity. And so the value of Netlify, like what you get when you choose Netlify as your platform, is a faster feedback loop from idea to something live. Whoa. I am now Twitch just unmuted itself and I started hearing myself talking to myself. So you get a faster feedback loop from like having an idea to seeing that idea live on the internet. And the way that we do that is by making it faster to deploy your sites so that you can get them up and hosted. So we manage the CDN for you so that they are faster, that it's less likely to hit problems if you get a lot of traffic really fast. We automatically deploy and scale serverless functions. We give you tools like redirects and proxies that make it easy to set up, an API like thing. If you want your site to have a /API/episodes for Teach Gen Tech, for example, you can do that with a serverless function and a redirect that will give you the ability to stand up this API in a few minutes instead of having to figure out how to set up a node server and then where does that node server run and how much does that cost and how do I get the node service plugged into my website service so they're both on the same domain, right? Like all these things that are tricky, right? With Netlify, you just get to have these ideas and do them very quickly and they're up and running. We also offer local development tools so that you have the ability to get like our CLI, for example, and you can run Netlify Dev. We'll auto detect which framework you're using. We'll start it in local development mode. And also we'll be running your serverless functions, your edge functions, anything that you're running there. And we'll pull in your environment variables so that you can set the environment variables once and then they're available locally. They're available in staging. They're available in production. You're not dealing with .env files. You don't have to figure out how to like ignore them locally so they don't go into GitHub, but still use them. And then you have to like put them somewhere else so that they get loaded in production and all that kind of dance of trying to keep things secure. There's all of these just little things. So maybe the biggest pitch is what Netlify is doing is it's removing what I've started calling undifferentiated labor. So if you think about like the amount of work that you have to do to build a website, there's your actual idea. So there's the design, the logic, the interface. That's the valuable part. That's the piece that you need to create because it's unique. And then there's all the stuff that has zero difference from every other website on the internet. You need CDN, you need hosting, you need it to be up and running, you need it to be deployable, you need to make sure that the CI/CD starts whenever you make changes. all of that boilerplate and all of that configuration, it's undifferentiated. It works basically the same for every website. So there's not really any value in you doing it yourself, right? And when you hit an edge case where you need to do it yourself, great. But for the vast majority of use cases, it's just not worth your time. And so that's where
Mhm.
Netlify becomes value, is it saves you from having to do all this stuff that's the same every time. So you can focus on building the unique value of whatever project you're working on.
Interesting, because it almost because I think like so many of us like okay, in the new world, even more new than me, I don't think a lot of us knew like how to set up a website. And even when in the GoDaddy world, because that's what I
Mhm.
compare a lot of it to, is going to be like, oh, hey, like this is, if we're going to build hosting, I'll probably do WordPress.
Mhm.
That's where like so much of it went to. Like that was kind of like the slightly more technical. But
Mhm.
y'all, just for now, so my websites are totally built on Squarespace because I was like, I
Mhm.
needed something quick and I don't want to think about all of this. But as I'm building up my own technical knowledge,
Mhm.
homie, which I'm guessing will be here at some point. If not, he'll just have to hear this in the recording. Keeps reminding me that I need to start doing a real developer website, not a plug and play website. So
Yeah, and I would I mean, especially as you're pretty early on, I would really encourage you not to use words like real developer, just because that like if you built something
yeah,
for the web, whether you used Wix or Squarespace or whatever, you're a real developer. You're making something for the web. And the
okay.
like because the pitfall of making that distinction of like what's real development and what's not is that there's always an abstraction under the abstraction. Even somebody who's writing like C# on the back end and doing like ultra low level stuff, they're not, they could go deeper. They could understand how the byte code works. They could understand how the binary works. They could understand how the actual hardware on the circuits works. You could get all the way down until you're talking about how do we teach rocks to think back in the day, right? And that whole piece, the trick is that it becomes a moving goalpost. Um,
Mhm.
and the
Okay.
reason I think it's important to not frame things that way is I think one of the major challenges for so many people is that as soon as they've learned something, they assume that that thing is no longer valuable. And they think because I could figure this out, it's not hard, it's not real. Only the stuff I don't understand yet is hard or real. And then they hold themselves back from ever giving themselves credit as being capable, despite the fact that like they built all this stuff. Like how many
Mhm.
people out there don't even know how to get a website up on the internet, even if they have a tool like Wix or Squarespace or whatever. And they would look at you as like, dang, you're a web developer. And that's true, you are. And I think that's it's important to recognize the value of what you can do, even if it's not like what you've seen somebody else do.
And I so appreciate that because it really is something that we all need to remember. And Wesley Faulkner was the first person I met on this whole like DevRel journey of me awkwardly replying to people in Twitter. It was really, really awkward on this thread. Many of you were part of this awkwardness. So I was talking to Wesley, and first he was like the first person that was like, yeah, you can be ADHD and dyslexic and be a coder. Like you totally can. I'm like, oh, you can? What? And so there's a lot of tools that I'm learning for that. But one thing that he said that really matches what you said was the fact he's like, many, many people will say, if it's easy for me, it's not a skill. If it's hard
Right.
for me, it's a skill. And I'm like, damn. I feel like you just like said that in a very, very different way. Yet we had a Twitter space yesterday with um, about DevRels, actually. Really, really good Twitter space. And we were talking about how advocacy is like really like just doing streams or blogs or Chad from Tech is hiring. We were like, yeah, you're a DevRel. You
Mhm.
literally advocate for people to find jobs. Like you
Mhm.
are doing the work. And I think it is that mindset that you're talking about of, yeah, it might not be the level I want to be, but you're right. I'm further than I was even 4 months ago.
Well, and that idea of like if I can do it, it doesn't feel like a skill. Like I got this put into perspective pretty sharply a while back, where I got the chance. I was in Las Vegas, and through just a friend of a friend, I'm connected to the personal trainer for the Cirque du Soleil folks that run O at the Bellagio. And so I got invited to go backstage at O and kind of see how the show runs and meet some of the performers and all this stuff. And for the people who are in Cirque du Soleil, that is the most mind-bending thing to me. These are people who are, they're doing flips 100 feet in the air. They're doing these incredible stunts. And to them, that's a job. It's not hard. It's not exciting. It's not scary. They do 3 shows a day, and
Wow.
it's just a boring job. They're looking forward to their weekend. They want to be done. And so no matter what the thing is, no matter what the skill is, if you do it often enough, it ceases to have a like personal challenge, because it's now a thing that you've gained a high level of skill at. And it just turns into like the boring thing that you do before you get to your weekend. And so I think that was really good framing for me when I saw that like somebody would be at Cirque du Soleil, they're up on stage, do some wild stunt, and then they like do their performance, flounce off stage, and then they get behind the curtain and they just light up a cigarette and look bored.
All
And it
right.
kind of like blew my mind that is, you would think, right? I would think that they would get off stage and they would stay in peak performance and like, okay, must practice, must be like paying attention. And nope, not at all. They're texting, not paying, they're complaining about I got to work tomorrow. I got to cover for so-and-so. Like, it's wild, absolutely wild.
And I just love the fact, so y'all, I don't know if any of you have emceed or done anything like a lot of speakers will like go on stage and then you're like one and done. As an MC, you're constantly having to go on stage. And I just relate so much to what you just explained. Because as soon as somebody else was talking, I was like,
It's like that Ben Affleck meme where he's like standing outside his front door, just like with a cigarette. Just
yes, yes. Cause like I was just like, okay, we're done. And I'd and I had somebody on the other screen and they were just like, yeah, you can relax now. It's cool. I'm like, okay. So I'm really excited that Cirque du Soleil does the same thing. And yes, they make it look so easy. It's true. But I'm excited because I think I'm going to use this opportunity to also maybe start setting up my website again. I feel like homie would be
Absolutely.
so happy because he keeps bugging me to have a real website. Okay, there
Let's do
is
it.
a real website. It's a more technical website. There we go. A
Mhm.
more technical website.
All right. So here's what we can do today. We've got another like 40 minutes, right?
Technically, if you want to go for the full 90, we have
Oh, full 90. Okay, yeah,
an
let's do it.
hour 10. But if you want to do
Let's do
40,
it.
we can do whatever.
No. Okay, so here's what I think we can do within the span of the next hour 10. We can get you set up with a local repo. We can get local development running. We can get it deployed to the internet with some basic text and make it so that whenever you make changes and push, it will update the site.
Ooh.
And I think
Yay.
we can, yeah. And depending on how that feels, we can also look at doing some personalization stuff or some kind of fancy, we'll call it jazz hands for the website. But
Yay.
yeah, so do you want to just kind of dive in here?
Yeah, I definitely do. And real quick, just catching up on a few of the chats. Um, is that like the full Monty? I'm not gonna lie, I totally missed what this one was for. So yes, sure, why not? And thank you for the compliments on the emceeing. I'm glad to see that you are here and definitely ask us questions. It was a fun couple of days. And oh yeah. Ooh, I like that. Full Monty being the full 90. I get it. I get it now. Thank you. Okay. So getting started, I'm guessing I need to go to Netlify. Ah,
Yes. So this is kind of where we're actually starting. So if you want to sign up, you can sign up with your GitHub account.
GitHub. Yay.
All
Make sure I
right.
have
And
my
so this is what this will
phone near
do
me.
is it gives Netlify the ability to list your repos and also listen for changes on them. So this, is it going to let you might be able to skip this, or you can just kind of like power through it.
Oh
Not
yeah,
gonna
we'll
let me
just
skip.
we're doing this for work.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm a we'll say web designer. I like it.
Okay.
Company
All right.
of me. My first product will be marketing your company site. I just
Okay.
um other all of you.
That's right. That's right.
Um I'll just say everyone ever. And name of my see if I can type. Name or company is Teach Gen Tech. Oh, you didn't auto do it. I hate that sometimes I don't know when it's actually going to auto do this stuff. So
You got
set
teach
up.
Jen teach.
Oh, did I really?
It's all right. You
Damn
can
it.
fix it later.
All right. Well, that's good
Um,
at least.
okay. So you can skip this step for now because we're gonna set up from local. So up at the top there's a skip
Skip.
link, and this
Yay.
is your dashboard. Okay. So if you want to fix your team name, you can go to team settings at the top right under that upgrade button there.
Thank you. And y'all, I didn't put in my contacts today, so I'm also really blind. Um, because I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but you're like, hey, I have 30 minutes to get ready and do stuff, so I'm going to do it really slow. And then the next time you look at your phone, it's time to start. And I'm like, oh shit, and ran to my computer. So I don't have glasses. I don't have anything. I'm just like, I can see. I'm going to squint at the computer a lot, but all right, I'm going to thank you for telling me how to fix
Okay.
that.
So
All right.
this is actually all you need to do for right now. So do you have a terminal that you prefer?
I actually think that I've been needing to come up with a reason for James Quick to come on the show. Like we've talked about it, and I think this is why I'm going to ask him to come on the show. Be like, I keep meaning to do this, and his is like so cool.
Yeah, there's some really fun stuff you can do with a terminal. Do you have Node installed?
Yes.
Okay, so do npm install, and we're going to do netlify-cli and do a -g with a space before the -g. And what that's
Yay.
going to do is it's going to install the Netlify CLI globally so that you can just type the Netlify command. And so there's the full command, which is Netlify, or there's a shortcut, which is NTL, if you want to use fewer characters. And so this is going to give us the ability to set up new sites. It's going to let us do local dev. We can manage environment variables. We can do a whole bunch of things from here.
Okay.
So do you have a preferred place to keep sites? Actually, do you already have a site that you're working on right now?
Solid
Or do you
question.
if
I found
you want to
glasses.
start
I'm very excited.
if you want to start from scratch, it's actually like that'll
Yeah, let's
that's
just
even
start it from
fewer.
scratch.
Okay, so make a folder wherever you want it to be that's going to be your website.
Oh, I should have known. I have to think,
Okay.
is it MDIR to make a folder?
MKDIR. So make
MKDIR.
yeah.
I always forget. And I'm just going to call it this because then.
Okay. So then move on in there
Yay.
and
All right.
do a git init. So we're going to set this up as a new repo. Okay. And then do you have a preference on like what you want to build with? Do you want to use plain HTML? Do you want to use React? Do you want to use framework?
I feel like maybe I should do stuff like React only because that's like what I started learning with Anthony, but then there's Next with Next Nation kind of stuff. And it's like
How,
so
how
many
about
options.
this? Let's not force that decision today. We'll just do plain old HTML, and then you can
Okay.
switch over to whatever framework you want
Yay.
later on. So right now, let's. Do you have VS Code?
Oh, I don't think this ever got fixed, but let's see if it did. No, you
Command
didn't.
not found code.
Okay.
Okay.
It likes to do that. If I just go manually do this really quick, it'll reopen. So just a sec. This is something. I have to do this manually every single time. Not
Oh
sure why.
yeah,
It
that's
It's a thing. It's cool. Ta-da!
Okay, so let's create a new file. And let's just call it index.html. Okay, and then if you type an exclamation point, it should let you autocomplete with like all the, there you go, hit enter.
Ooh.
All right, so that's an Emmet abbreviation for like a blank HTML document. So on line 7, let's edit document to teach Gen Tech. Okay, and then on line 10, let's add an H1 and put teach Gen Tech in there as well.
So I don't know if Yare is still here, but this everything you just said, when I first started, I wouldn't have understood anything you just said.
Well, you just killed it. You just did great. So,
Yare, it's been 4 months, almost 5, and I've learned a lot. So thank you.
Excellent. All right, so save that. And then let's go back to your terminal.
Could we just do it in here? What is it?
We definitely can. I think it's control backtick or control tilde.
Here we go.
There it is. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Let's do just let's see. We're in that folder. Yes. So let's do ntl space dev.
NTL space. What is this?
What happened?
Is it the font? But the rest of the fonts are good.
Yeah, it looks like something weird happened. So it's going to try to open a tab. That's going to be your dev site.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't do it on that one, but there we go.
All right. So this is your running site. So if you want to make this one like half the width and then make VS Code the other half the width, then we can kind of work in here.
Like do something that makes it easier for all of us. That would be way too fun. Good call. All right.
Okay, so then if in here you want to add like a a little paragraph that just says like, hey everyone, or something like that, just any change you want to make. Okay, and then if you save that, you can reload the page on the right.
Yay.
Okay, so this is because we're using plain HTML. There's no hot reload or anything because there's no framework to actually set that part up. But as you're building now, this is functional. It's working. So this, I think, is a great start. Let's go ahead and deploy this site. So if you want to go into your terminal and hit the Control C to stop the process, okay, then do a git status.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm going back over here because I don't.
Yeah, something weird is going on. Okay, so then you can just git add -A to put all those files into Git there. We just need the 2.
Git add with a capital A or just
It's
git add?
Git add.
Okay.
And then a -A.
Capital A. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's like the capital A is a flag that says like add everything, add all.
Okay.
So then if you run git status again, you'll see that they're ready to commit.
Yay.
Okay, so then we can do a git commit and whatever message you want. So -M and then, I usually just call it like initial commit or something, but yeah, perfect. Okay, so then the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a repo on GitHub. Do you have the GitHub CLI or do you work from the UI? I
don't remember.
Do VH-V, GH.
VH dash. I mean, that would make sense.
And then a space before the -V.
Yay. I do.
You do have it. Okay, so do GH space repo space create. And this is going to create a new repo on your site. You want to push an existing. Oh, yeah, you can create an. Actually, you know what? It's easier if you don't. So hit Control C and start again. and do the existing.
There we go.
And you want this one, so you can just hit enter.
Yay.
Okay, you do want to add a remote. Yep.
Yeah. That's fine.
And that's default. And you do want to push the commits up.
Yay.
Okay, so there are two ways that you can create a site on Netlify. So let's go with probably the most visual one. So go back to your browser and go to your Netlify dashboard. And let's make this bigger. You can go to Sites and import from Git and use GitHub. And this is just going to check that you are allowed to look at all of those things. Okay. And then configure on GitHub. You might have said it could only have like no repos, and you've got to flag them individually. So hit Genjunad, all repos.
There we go.
Yeah. And so you have a choice here. You can either do it like if it's a company company org on GitHub, you can choose like one repo at a time so that you keep security locked down. For me, because I pretty much put everything on GitHub, it's a shortcut to let it see all repos. And like, you know, I'm not putting anything out there that nothing goes on GitHub that I'm worried about other people seeing. I think all of my repos are public. Okay, sweet. So now that you got that, you can, there it is. And all the defaults are good. So you can just go down and hit deploy.
And hi, sudo. And yeah, maybe it is permission things to binary. I broke my computer doing that once, trying to fix it with bash. So I just haven't messed with it in a while. But yes, okay. We got this going.
All right, so it's deploying your site. If you scroll down a little bit, it's going to, you can click into that deploy, or actually even a little bit lower, you'll see the actual deploy happening. Right there, where it says building. So you can click into that one there that says building, and this will kind of show you what's happening. Actually, it's already done. So you can open your production deploy.
I was like, they didn't have a lot to do, so.
And there you go. You now have a deployed site. And so this one, there's a couple things to note. Netlify will do a like published production deploy, and then it will do a tagged deploy for every Git commit, so that what you're able to do is you can like review work, you can go back in time and see how your site's evolved with every commit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then we also do something where if you open a pull request, we'll build the pull request so you can see the live production site and what it would look like if you merge the pull request and review before you make that commitment.
Oh, that's very cool.
And that allows things like you can add comments on deploy previews, and that'll sync back to your GitHub so that if you want to send it to somebody for feedback or something, like you said, you work with a designer for your images. If they were uploading those to your site, you could actually go and like take a screenshot of it and draw arrows and say like, I don't know about this. And then that would go back to GitHub or wherever you're tracking work.
Got it.
To do that. So lots of ways to do the collaboration and stuff. Again, this is kind of what I'm talking about with Netlify, trying to like remove work. It's a workflow tool, not necessarily just a infrastructure or kind of the raw pieces.
Random question. And
sure.
This is just making me think of like, you know, moving external work away because, you know, having jumped through hoops, trying to figure that out. Canva, very random thing, but I use Canva a lot for like my GitHub for our like readmes and stuff. I love using Canva to make it look a little easier to read than just the text.
Sure.
Is there anything that does like where people can use Canva or something like it within Netlify, or is that still going to be very external?
So what you can do is there are tools like Cloudinary or Imagix that will allow you to kind of use a template and then slot text in. So if you look at the way that like a Learn with Jason thumbnail is actually generated programmatically using a serverless function in Cloudinary. And so I upload the details of an episode, or actually, I don't even upload the details. I have a Calendly that people book to choose a date for Learn with Jason, and then that invite goes to my team. I have an administrative assistant, and then Aiden will take that and enter it into Sanity. And then the details from Sanity get used to update learnwithjason.dev, to generate image assets, to update the overlay on the stream so that it's got the right episode title and guest name. All of
I
that
need to
happens
do that in my
programmatically.
life.
Like I said, I mean, we talked about this before we went live. This has been a slow accumulation of things. So I did it manually for a long time, and then when I realized that I had a process that worked, then I automated the process. And then the parts that I couldn't automate, I hired help for, because my job doesn't let me do. I have no time. So
Yeah, that's why I'm like, there's so many people I've been like, oh, I haven't replied to them, or the podcast I have has been put on pause because I'm like, there's only just me.
yeah.
So I get that. Oh, I'm like even more excited about this now.
Yeah. So many fun things that you can do, right? So let's go back into the dashboard.
Okie dokie.
And go click on the superb send all. And what this is so we auto generated this, but it's kind of hard to remember. So if you go to site settings there, we can change the name of the site to be something better. So scroll down a little bit, and actually, if you make your window wider, that will become a sidebar instead of pushing everything down.
Oh, sweet.
There you go.
There we go.
And so if you want to change the site name, then you can change this to tjt.netlify.app or teachgentech or something like that. Somebody already grabbed that one. So these have to be globally unique because they're on the .netlify.app space. And then later, if you do decide to make this your main hub, you'll be able to set a custom domain for this as well.
Oh, sweet.
And you can
Okay.
you can do that through Netlify. There's a domain management option there on the left-hand side.
Okay, which is here, which I probably will end up doing soon. So yay.
So now if you go back up and go to your main details there, you see how it's changed the site to teachgentech.netlify.app. So if you click on that, now you're hosting live at teachgentech.netlify.app. So let's make an edit and we'll see how this all changes. So go back to your VS Code.
And close out of this because you're not my friend.
Okay. And let's add anything. If you want to, we can do some styles. We can add more text. We can do, we can add a work in progress caveat here, or whatever you want to do.
We'll do it each. Let's do that.
Okay.
We can do this. I should hyperlink this. Oh, did you already hyperlink
helping.
it?
No, it did something super weird.
I was like, did it just? What did you just? Now I'm just curious what it just did.
That is that's an Emmet abbreviation. So if you do like a dot something tab in VS Code, it treats it like a class. So basically what just happened is you did teachgentech.com and it was like, is this a tag? And so it thought it was like an element called teachgentech with a class of, yeah, see, it's trying to do it again.
I'm like, I don't want to think that hard on how to make it to link it because I don't remember off the top of my head. Yes, Bakari.
I can help if you want. It's
yes,
it's an A tag.
Okay. So
is it right before the T? Do opening bracket A space href is the inside the A tag. You'll want to do space and then href, but like inside that first A tag.
Oh, okay. So space href
equals. And in here, you're going to do the HTTP. Yeah.
Oh, not .com. There we go, Jen. Come on, do it, do it, do it. There we go. And then
Okay.
this will be named. Oh, go back.
And that'll need to go inside the A tags there. So you'll want to move that closing one. Yeah, just right in there. Perfect. Okay.
Sweet.
So
Thank you for the
you
assist.
save that. Now we can go back to the terminal. We can commit these changes. And the shortcut I always use is git commit -am, which is like git commit everything. And then message. So like add a link or something.
And yes, Bakari, this is.
Oh, you have to quote the
added link.
Yeah.
Go back. Bakari, this has been many months in the making. I actually first talked to Jason before I.
And then git push.
Oh yeah, damn it! Why? I just wanted to all do it at the same time.
You can, if you do have James come on and you talk about terminals, have him talk to you about aliases, because you can make shortcuts for yourself.
Okay, because I will say I started using it in here instead, like as a way to like just check myself, because it'll error out a little, definitely. But yes, yay. Okay,
Yeah. So then if you go back to your Netlify dashboard, when you look at your deploys, so you can see now the site is already building. It deployed in 4 seconds, so it's already live. So if you go back to the teachgentech.netlify.app and reload,
yay!
There you go. Right. So this is the workflow. This is why I get so excited about Netlify, and why I'm always telling people to try it out. Is you've got this local dev workflow where you can, you build locally, you try things out, you see that they're working, you commit them to GitHub and push, and they just go live, and things just work. So then the next piece here that we can do is really whatever you want. There are a few things that we can start looking at. We can build an API using some serverless functions. We can look at doing some personalization. We can like show what city people are visiting your site from. There's a lot of options.
I feel like I would say the API, and then if we have time, then the city that they're tuning in from.
Great, let's do it. So let's start by going into VS Code and open up your file browser again. And we're going to create a new folder and call it Netlify. And then inside that folder, create another new folder called functions. Not the .NET. Yeah, sorry, that one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, wait, did that just suddenly appear?
So the .netlify is like caching and stuff that we do to make sure that it's hooked up to the right site on app.netlify.com and stuff like that. But it gets ignored and everything. But yeah, if you've never seen it before, it can be a little confusing.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Okay, so what was the folder though? Because I was very distracted by that.
Okay, and then inside here, let's start like everybody does with a hello world file. So do hello.ts. Okay, and so the way that a serverless function works is you are going to get a request made to the serverless function, and it needs to return an HTTP status code, which is like whenever you load a website, it sends back a status code usually of 200, which means, okay, everything worked. You can also send back, like if you want to redirect somebody to another page, that's status code 301. If you can't find the page, that's 404. You may have seen the 404 pages. And there's a bunch more, but really what we care about in this case is 200. So we are going to export. So you can just write export const handler equals. And then we're going to make this an async function. So the word async. and then a space, and then do parentheses, open and close.
Wait, parentheses is wait.
Round boys.
Okay, I'm like, why am I suddenly forgetting what a parenthesis is?
And then outside of those, like to the right, we're going to do a fat arrow, so equal sign, and then a greater than sign, and then curly boys.
Yay.
And inside of this, so this is the body of a serverless function. Like this is kind of the structure that you need for one to work. So hit enter. And what we have to return for one of these to work is, so use the return keyword, and then set up some more curly boys. You want to put a space after that return, I think. And then inside, there's going to be two properties on this object that we're returning. So the first one is going to be status code with a capital C. And do a colon, and then 200. And a comma. And then body is the next property name, lowercase, with a colon. And then in quotes, hello, or hello world or something.
I can type, y'all. I promise I can. There we go.
Okay, so save that. And next, go back to your terminal. And run Netlify dev, NTL dev again.
Okay. I always forget it. Does not let me just select and delete everything. Netlify dev.
Mm-hmm. And so now what it's doing is, because we created a Netlify folder, it knows that there is serverless function. So if you go back into your terminal and scroll up a little bit, we can see that, you see where it says now it loaded function hello, and the function server is listening and setting up a local development server. So that URL next to hello, that's where you'll test this function. So you can copy paste that out and put that in your browser.
Yay!
Okay, so you have now built an API, technically. So somebody is sending a request and you're returning a response, right? Mm-hmm. So typically what'll happen is an API is going to return JSON. So that way you can send back multiple pieces of data. So like, a message and an ID and stuff like that, right? So let's go ahead and upgrade this to send back JSON. So go back into VS Code. And what we're going to do is, for this body, let's make a variable like above line 2. And let's call it response. So var works, or you can do const is kind of the standard that I've seen most people do. And let's give it a space, not a colon. And let's give it a name of response. And equals. And then let's do some curly boys. And now let's make the property message. So you can hit, and a colon, and then in quotes, we can just move the hello beautiful human into there.
I feel like this should be my goal of the stream for now on, is how can I get other people to say hello beautiful human? Like if I can get them to say it, I have succeeded. I feel like that should definitely be what the new goal is. But so I can delete the body then, right?
You're going to still need the body, but we're going to change the way that it works. So get rid of the quotes. Okay. And so now what we want to do is we want to send back JSON, but you can't just send a JavaScript object. You have to send a string. So we're going to use JSON, all caps, dot stringify. And it's going to autocomplete. Yep. And then put the response inside parentheses.
Parentheses,
and I think,
is this?
Yeah. And just put response in there. So we're using that variable that we set. And then I don't know if you can put a space. Chat, do you know if a space between a function call works? I don't know. I never do. Like after stringify, I wouldn't put a space there, but I don't know if it actually works or not. I don't know if that's like a style thing or like an actual functionality thing.
I
But
guess
so
we'll
go ahead
find
and
out.
yeah, save that and then go back to your browser and reload.
Okay.
And there you go. You're sending back JSON now.
Yay.
So as you get into more and more APIs, you'll have more details that you want to send. Like you'll want the episode date and who the guest is and what time it started and all those sorts of things. And now they can all go into these responses, and you would just kind of add like an ID, date, title, image, whatever.
I was doing this a bit when I was using Prisma to try to build, I was calling it a Tweety Tag app, because it was using Ivan's MySQL and then using Prisma to set it all up. I'm still working on it, but I kind of put it on pause because I was like, I don't think everybody wants to get tagged anymore. So maybe I'll just pause that. But this actually gives me an idea to further work on the actual structure. So I could put, well, I'm thinking this out loud at the same time. So I'm like, of course it would be able to have a database because Netlify wouldn't be as cool if you couldn't have a database. So
yeah, so you can actually use Prisma in a serverless function.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways that you can pull this stuff all together. And this is one of the things that I love is we're giving you the raw tools, and then you can bring in whatever platforms, whatever additional tools you want. You can work with whatever framework, whatever database system. The only limitation is that like serverless means that you don't get long running stuff. So if you want to do real time or like GraphQL subscriptions or something, that won't work in a serverless function, but just about everything else does. And honestly, by the time you get to GraphQL in real time and all those sorts of things, like it's not.
I'm like, I'm gonna just pretend like I know what you're talking about and blankly stare at you. But I am excited because like with the space that everybody's replying with,
I know everybody's real. Like we're all blown away by this space working.
I mean, leave it to me, y'all. Come teach me something, and I'm really excited. Nick's going to be on the show next week. Of like,
oh, nice.
I'm a clicky person. Like literally, I think there's a somewhere somebody made a command that how many times I click something when I'm not supposed to click something. It's what I like to do. I get excited. I'm like, enter, click. Oh, shouldn't have done that. But it's a way to break things and learn. So
for sure. Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Okay. So the next thing that I want to do though is if we go back to this URL, like in the browser, like this is great, but I want it to look more official. I want it to look like it's the actual API. So I want the URL to be /API/hello, right?
Okay.
And so to do that, I would need to, I don't know, like there's a whole bunch of things that you'd have to do, except we've kind of shortcut this in Netlify. So if you go back into your VS Code and next to index.html, create a new file.
Why am I suddenly being very blind? Okay, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, and call it _redirects.
I almost typed underscore.
This is my whole life. I do this all the time. So what we want to do is we want people to be able to hit API, but have it actually use the functions that are located in .netlify/functions. So type /API/star. Like the actual like asterisk star character. All good. And then add like a couple spaces so that there's some differentiation between the thing. And then do /.netlify/functions/ and then you're going to do a colon and splat.
Is that actually a word or
that is actually a word?
Okay.
So this confused me, and I think the reason is if you look at the asterisk, it kind of looks like a splat, like if you had like squished a bug or something. And so I think somebody was like, yeah, it's /splat. and then we just decided to say the whole word. So then add another couple spaces there.
I dig it.
And we're going to do 200. Okay, so what this does is it's saying if someone visits the URL/API with anything following it, take that URL and instead serve /.netlify/functions and whatever was in place of the star. So
Okay.
we're rewriting this whole URL, and then we're saying serve that as a 200 so that the URL doesn't change. Because by default, if you leave that blank, it would redirect you to the new URL. So like if you had an old site and a new site, you would say like /old URL to /new URL, and it would just change it in the browser. And usually that's good. But in this particular case, I want /API to be the URL people use. So I don't want that to change in the browser. So by sending a 200, we say use the /API, but serve this other thing underneath it as what people actually see.
This is
So
really, really weird because like part of working at GoDaddy was working with the DNS, but it wasn't on like this further technical side. It was on just like, oh, you want to add it to a forward and then it automatically goes in. Or sometimes it was a redirect within the index.html file. And so this is just
right.
kind of like really surreal, like
Yeah.
weird. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like it's like such a weird feeling, but I'm like, oh.
And the reason that we do this, right, is because this is one of those really common things that really is not fun to set up on your own. And so by making it something as simple as it can be, we're trying to reduce the amount of, again, undifferentiated labor. Your goal is to work on value, not on configuration. So if you save this and then go back to your terminal, because we just created this, so I can't remember if we have to stop and restart or not. Scroll down. Reloading redirect rules from okay, good. So it picked it up automatically. So go back into your browser and replace that .netlify functions with let's change it to API /hello.
Oh yeah. Okay. Because it has to read the file. Got it.
And there you go. You've now set up an API with a clean URL. And this is the stuff that I love about this. Like it starts to feel magic. And the other thing too.
Real quick, we do have a question in here of can you reverse the single linked list in ON? I'm hoping that makes sense to you.
I don't really know what I kind of feel like this might be trolling.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
I hate that about it though, because I'm like, I never know if it's like a very technical question or if it's trolling.
Well, so this is talking about complexity, right? So when you're talking about the complexity of a program, there's like big O notation is what this is called. And so the like O of 1 is ideal because that means that it runs once. And then O of n means that it runs like one time for every item in the list. And then it can get worse. Like it can be ON squared or ON, whatever.
Okay.
And so you want lower complexity, and when you'll hear people talk about this stuff. However, I'm going to say I've actually never been able to pass an algorithms interview because I don't have a computer science degree. I'm self-taught, so I didn't learn like the really deep algorithm stuff. I've never had to reverse a binary tree or do like any of this kind of stuff. And would it make me a better programmer? I'm sure it would. I think learning anything makes you better at things, but it hasn't prevented me from having my career. So I try not to stress too much about it.
Got it. It wasn't trolling. It was a joke, but I feel like it went way over our heads.
Sorry, I forget which chat I'm on. My chat only trolls me lovingly. And so when I say trolling, I mean more like teasing lovingly.
I was like, people, I think, just realize that I don't always get the stuff. So they try to like say something funny. And I'm like, I don't know. Yet. I will get there. All right. So we got it. So that way it actually says it with the proper URL. And
so we've got the URL.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing here is we actually have two distinct systems running on the same URL. So if you notice, you're at localhost 8888, and so our API, which is a serverless function, is running here. But if you remove the /API/hello and go to that site, this is your index.html. So this is another thing that you don't have to think about, because these are two independent systems. Like, serverless functions are deployed and hosted and managed in one place. The static website, the HTML file, is deployed and hosted and managed in a second place. But Netlify automatically puts together so that it works on the same URL, so that they're all kind of talking to each other. You don't ever have to think about that. And this is one of those things that, like, if you try to set this up on Amazon, you can, but you're setting up like CloudFront and Route 53 and API Gateway and S3, and suddenly you're like really looking at a lot of moving pieces that all end up with the same result, which is that you want your functions and your site and your CDN and all of these pieces to run on the same URL. So again, it's just, we're trying to keep it simple and as uncomplicated as we can. So let's see, we've got how much time left? We got like another 30 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Let's see if we can personalize this a little bit. So the next thing that we want to do is I want to set up an edge function. And if you look at, so like edge functions themselves, if you, let me drop a link in the chat here. And what these will do is edge functions are set up as, all right. I ate an everything bagel earlier, and I have like a seed in the back of my throat that won't go away, and it's driving me up a wall.
I'm sorry, I'm giggling because this weekend at Costco, or I guess it was last weekend. It's already Friday. Okay, sorry. That aside, I bought like a giant thing of everything bagel seasoning, and I'm so excited.
You're just everything bagel everything.
Yes. I hope it gets better soon. Maybe you'll talk it out.
Yeah. We'll just, I'm going to power through it. Okay. So for some context, let's talk about how the internet works. And I swear I'm not trolling you. So
I love learning about it. So I dig it.
when someone makes a request for a website, you're in a browser, you type a URL into the browser and you hit enter. So the browser is going to send off a request with a bunch of headers that say like, I'm looking for this URL. This is the type of browser I am. I accept these types of responses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that request then gets to the origin server or the CDN node or wherever the content's going to come from. And that node says, okay, you've asked for this thing. I do have that thing. So here it is. And it sends back, just like our serverless function, an HTTP status code of like, yes, I have it 200, it's fine. And here's the actual content, along with more headers like it's a HTML file, or this is JSON, or whatever it is, and you know the size of it and some other details. And then the browser gets that back. It reads what it's got. It's like, oh, they sent me HTML. I can understand HTML, so I'm going to take the body of this and format it on the screen the way that it's supposed to be. What an edge function does is it lets us jump in between the request to the edge node and the response to the browser. And it lets us modify things. So we can do things like looking to see if the browser has a cookie set that has permission to see the thing they're asking for. And then we can like redirect them somewhere else if they don't have permission. Or it lets us see if the browser is modern and can support an advanced image format like WebP or AVIF. And then we can replace on the fly if they requested a JPEG. We can say, hey, actually, you can take a WebP, which will be less size, less transfer, and send that back instead automatically. And that, you know, you're saving your own bandwidth costs and you're saving the user download time. And then you can do things on the other end where you get the response that's going to go back and you can transform it. You can say update with the local time. You can update to say, if it's winter, I want this store to show the winter products like coats. And if it's summer, I want to show the flip-flops and swim trunks. And that, so it's a way that you'll hear this described as middleware. It kind of happens in the middle of the request. So what's really cool about this is it means that we can do things like somebody can request a static HTML site and we can say, hey, how's the weather in whatever city they're in, right? Mm-hmm. So let's add that functionality. So the first thing that we want to do, go ahead.
Quick question. Because of thinking about how you also have this set up for your site for streaming, instead of using weather per se, could you do it as, hey, this is what the site, like have it change the site based on date and it be a rolling date?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you can do all sorts of things. Like, for example, you could have your site check whether or not it's your streaming window and either show a link to your schedule or show a link to go watch because you're already live.
That is so cool. But and it could do that, but then it can also do it like, let's say that I set the stream up then or like my schedule up, because I've been horrible about that. That's why nobody knew you were coming on this stream until yesterday. Because that's what I do in my life. I'm hope people find out in time. But if I made it like, let's say I did schedule out this entire week, they would see, it would work where I could say, hey, yes, we're going live on Friday. And then when Friday hits, they could go, could it have it auto switch to the YouTube video too from?
You definitely could. I think in the use case that you're talking about, I would almost do something like, we have another thing that you can do on Netlify where you can schedule jobs where you could basically say, rebuild my site every day. And then in the build process, figure out what the next episode is, put that in the next episode slot, most recent episode, put that in the most recent episode slot. And then you're not doing it with Edge Functions because you definitely could, but at that point, it's so much that it feels like it would make more sense as part of the site itself. Like what I really like is I think of Edge Functions as like the sprinkling of personalization, but if it's the same thing for every person, then I'd probably want to reach more toward a either a serverless function or just straight up part of the build. And in the case of a site like yours or mine, where it updates usually once a day, I would probably run a build at like midnight or something to just update for the next day.
That is so cool. Okay, thank you for connecting all those dots. Back to let's get the weather going.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start by making a space for this to live on the page. So we're going to go into VS Code and go into your index.html, and we can, let's see, let's do a paragraph tag underneath line 12. And let's say, let's just put the text weather here. Or even, you know what? I don't want to, I think we're going to run out of time to go get an actual weather API. So let's instead say location here. We'll just show the location.
I think it.
And so what we're going to do then is we're going to save that. And inside that Netlify folder, so not the functions folder, but the Netlify one, create a new folder and call it edge-functions. Okay, and inside, let's add a new file and we'll call it location.ts. And the name doesn't matter, it's whatever you want it to be. So these ones are similar, but a little bit different from a serverless function. So the format for these is going to be to export default. So the word export space default.
Default. There we go.
Async. And then a space, do some curly boys, or sorry, round boys. A fat arrow.
On the outside, right?
Mm-hmm. And then some curly boys. And let's just start by doing a console log. Dot
I don't know
log.
why. I'm like, why am I suddenly blanking this? Console.log
And then inside parentheses, do in quotes, do like edge function running. Okay, so save that. And then in the root folder next to index.html, create a file called netlify.toml.
toml? Okay, yay.
And inside of this, we need to tell Netlify which pages should run this edge function, because we can run it on the whole site, which is probably we'll just do it on this one URL. But if you wanted to, you could say like on every blog post, I want to run this edge function, or on my entire shop, but not on the homepage or something like that. So what we're going to do is 2 square brackets. Okay, and then edge underscore function. You got a missing N after the U there.
Thanks.
Okay, and then on the next line down, you can indent. That's kind of the standard with this, and then do function equals. And in quotes, we'll put in the name of our function, location. And then on the line below that, path equals. And in quotes, we'll do /, so just the main page. Okay, so save that. And I think, let's go back to the terminal. I think we have to stop and restart for this one to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so Command C and then Netlify dev again. And now, if you scroll back up in the terminal output, you'll see that it also picked up the edge function. So keep on scrolling up. And let's see, where does it show it? Go down a little bit. It shows it somewhere in this output, and I'm not sure. Keep on going down. A little bit more. Command for local development. Oh, there it is. Loaded edge. It was right at the bottom. Loaded edge function location. And then you can also see, look, it logged our thing. So the edge function is running. And at the moment, it's not doing anything because we haven't actually like told it to do anything. But what we want to do is we want to update some of that content. So I want to, let's start by just logging this stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is go back into the Netlify Edge function that we have in VS Code. And we're going, yes, this is the one. And so we want let's get some autocorrect here. So above line 1, let's do an import. And it's going to be import. And then in some curly boys, space before the curly boys, capital C context. And after the curly boy, do from.
Would it be on the same?
Yeah, same line, but yeah, lowercase from. And then in quotes, do HTTPS, // and it's edge.netlify.com. And the reason that we're importing from a URL is because edge functions run in Dino. And so this is very similar to Node in the terms of the way that we'll write it, but it's the Dino runtime, which has some different rules, including packages live at URLs instead of in like imported packages. So now that we have that, we can use it. So inside the parentheses on line 4, we're going to get 2 pieces of data. The first one is request. And because we're in TypeScript, it's going to want us to type these. So do a colon and then capital R request. And this is built into the browser or built into the runtime. So you don't have to like import that from anywhere. And then comma, context, lower C context, colon. Yes. And then you're...
Josh is coming on our show and teaching me TypeScript.
Nice.
He's the one that wrote this book. So he comes on every other week and teaches me some TypeScript. So I'm excited for using it.
All right, and we got a rogue C in context there instead of an X. Okay, so then the next piece is let's replace on line 5, instead of edge function running, let's log context and no quotes on this either. Dot geo.
And
GEO.
Geo. Okay. And thank you, Nick, for posting those. I appreciate it.
All right. So save that. And then reload. And let's take a look in the terminal. So you got to reload in the browser too. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you actually, it'll automatically reload those. But so start your server again, Netlify Dev. Okay, now if you look in the console there,
it did it.
It did it. So it's showing your city, country code, your latitude, longitude. This is pretty exciting stuff. And so what we'll be able to do now is we want to take that geo data and actually put it into the text. So let's make that happen. And I want to do that through. Yeah, this will be good. So let's do, let's go back into the edge function. And we're going to get the, get const response. So we can get rid of line 5. And instead we can write const response equals, and then we're going to await context.next and put some parentheses after next. It's a function call. Okay, so what this does when you call context.next is we've requested the home page, right? So context.next goes and gets the content of that home page, and now we have it in the response so we can do stuff with it. So what I want to do is I want to replace the text on it. So let's get the text on the next line. So const text equals await response dot text with parentheses. It's a function call again. And then I want to on the next line down, we need to return a response. And so what we want to do with the response is we're going to use the built-in response object. So return new capital R response, and inside parentheses, let's do text dot replace. And this part we might have to little trial and error on this because I always get replacers wrong. So we're going to do the I'm just doing a quick check in my own console for how this works. Text.replace, and we want to do the first one is going to be it's a function, so we're going to put parentheses there.
Wait, within text.replace or outside of it?
Inside the parentheses, replace itself is a function, so we're going to add some. Okay, and then we're going to use a regular expression like anarchists. So do a /, and then do you remember what we wrote in the HTML file for it? Was it like location here or something?
Yeah, I think it says
We
location
want that.
here.
We want that text. Then a /,
Okay.
comma, and then let's do a space and context.geo, and then open up your terminal again. I can't remember what it was. It was .city. Okay, so save that and reload your page. Oh, we need to match the caps there. So capital L, capital H.
Yeah.
Okay, so save that. Okay, so see how it did a replace?
It did. It put Denver.
That's great, but it's not interpreting as HTML anymore because we just converted it all to text. So we can work around this if we go back into the Edge function. And as the second argument, so on line 7, between the blue and pink parentheses, do a comma at the very end there, and add response. So, sorry, just like the word
just
response.
the response. Yeah. I was like, wait, I had to think about that one. But is it capital response or lowercase response?
Lowercase. It's the one that we created on line 5. So save that. And what this will do is it'll carry over like the headers and the other details that were necessary there.
Yay!
And there it is. So now you are telling people where they're requesting the site from, which is like kind of neat. You know, it's a little personalization touch. But so you could now make something like in your index.html, you could change that to be how's the weather in, and then have location here. So in your index.html there.
Yeah, I'm just but I could also do like context.geo .land like want to know your latitude and longitude and put that in there.
Yeah, or you could like update a map. So I have an example if you want to see it. It is here. I'm dropping it in the Twitch chat. So this one is an example of updating the location and then using that on a map. So it shows the current air quality where you are. And this is done using an edge function. It looks at your request, uses that to go get your latitude and longitude, and then updates a map and goes to the air quality index to pull the air quality for the given area, and does that as an overlay on a Google map. So this is like one way that you can do this. And everybody watching, if you click this open, like for Jen, it's showing Denver. For me, it would show Portland. For you, it would show wherever you're at. And this is really relevant to me in the Pacific Northwest because during fire season, there are days when we just definitely don't want to go outside. So I can open the site up and see if it's a purple day and I need to just like hide in my basement.
Yeah. And that actually is really helpful because like with the fires here too and all the smog, but I feel like we definitely went through a lot. And y'all, I just finally figured out how to put chapters in YouTube. And now I need to go do it, but I have figured out how. Okay, more of Twitter, somebody posted on there, and then I learned, and yeah, but I know now. And yes. I know we had a few more minutes, but I'm a little mind blown. We have so much fun. And I feel like this actually does give me a really good basis to build off of to be able to build this site.
And the last thing to do would be to just deploy that. So if you just git commit everything, push it, it'll all go live, and then everybody who's watching can try it as well.
And I will do that really quick, y'all.
And so, yeah, so that, I mean, this is one of the reasons that I get very excited about like web dev today is that tools like this are available, and it doesn't require you to oh, I have an idea for an API. So now I need to go figure out where to put a Docker image. And then I got to figure out what Docker is and how it works. And then I got to figure out how to put that up somewhere that doesn't charge me. I have a side project idea. I don't want that to cost me $9 a month.
Yeah.
It's a thing I want to be up for fun, but
Yeah.
4 side projects later, and suddenly I'm spending a lot of money that isn't ever going to pay back because it was just for fun. And so everything that we did today on Netlify is on the free tier. And so you can build as many of these as you want. And unless one of them gets really, really successful, you're not going to end up paying any money for it. So this is a really, really good way to experiment, to play, to learn, to try a bunch of stuff, to bootstrap a business, whatever you're doing, in a way that lets you stay, you don't have to pay until your business starts making enough money that you have actual business requirements that would merit paying, right? And so for me, this is really exciting because I get to think about what I want to build, not how to get it on the internet. I get to try things without having to put a credit card down. I get to really, really rapidly experiment. If I break something, like yesterday when I went on my stream, I found out that I'd broken my site. And I was able to fix it and push a fix in the 5 minutes before we went live, so that I only started 2 minutes late.
Nice.
And it's this whole thing where I never ever could have done that when I was still running a WordPress site on DigitalOcean, and I'd have to SSH into the remote server and restart the thing. It took forever.
Yes.
I could never get it done.
Yes.
So though it reduces this barrier for experimentation and learning that, I no longer have to spend my whole half day Friday, that's my learning time, trying to set up the project. I can spend the whole half day actually building the thing that I'm interested in building. And I think to me, that's really exciting.
I'm now starting to get what Netlify does. I say starting to because there's still so much to learn, but I at least have a direction of how to play with it and get started. And instead of just going, Netlify's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I now know more about what the thing does. Yay. And thank you, Jason, for coming on the show. For all of you that don't know Jason, I feel like that's weird only because I feel like so many streamers or those in the DevRel world or in the tech world or know about Netlify. So that's why I say that it would surprise me. But thank you for being on the show. Next week, Nick will be on the show, and we've had Brittany on the show. We've had a lot of the Netlify team. Just we've all been talking about other things. So thank you again for talking about all of this. And any last questions for Jason before we end? We got to thank you. And also, Netlify has the lowest bar and clearest way of getting stuff going. Yes.
All right.
And excitement from Anthony. So
Anthony, always appreciate you being around. Yeah. So if anybody wants to find me, I love talking about this stuff. So I'm at Jay Lengstorf pretty much everywhere. I'm on Twitter, Twitch, on YouTube. I'm Learn with Jason, so you can find that there. Or just jason.af/links is where I've put everything. So if you want to hit that up, you can find all my links to all my things. And thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes. And thanks. Make sure you follow both of us on Twitch, because this is where we learn live and you get to ask all the questions. It makes it fun. Thank you, everyone. Bye.